Hi guys, this is Ranjit, and in this video let's do the review of this Mi True Wireless Earphones 2. And I was not going to review this one because I saw very mixed reviews of this one and thought it won't be that great. But just about 3 days ago, as this was in my bag, I started using it. And in fact, I have to say, the sound quality that I got on this one was surprising. Because with earlier audio products from me, I was not that impressed, but this one is certainly different. So in this video I'll share my experience, what do I feel about it, and I'll divide it between pros and cons, because there's some very unique cons also that I noticed with this one. So first of all, it comes in this box. I've taken it out. Obviously these are the earbuds, and we also get this charging cable, that's a USB Type-C, and a small manual. So that's what we get in the box. So let me keep these things to the side. And many of you were comparing this with the AirPods. I would say it's different in terms of design elements to the AirPods. Yes, it's similar but very different, because I also have the AirPods. These are the original ones, and if you look at it from this one, obviously the AirPods are actually a lot smaller, as you can see in size. This is more squarish, this is more roundish in nature, and even the buds stems are a little bit different. If you notice, the AirPods have a lot thinner stick. This one has a lot wider stick, and even the shape is slightly different, I would say. So yes, the design elements, I would say, are closer to the AirPods, but not a clone, I would say. I would say, if I would say the clone, that would be the Realme Buds Air that I had reviewed. Those were very similar, almost identical to the AirPods. Anyways, so this comes in this case, and it also has a white LED light. It's just a single color, I would say, not multicolored, and it has some functions. If you just press it once over here, let it go off, and if it stays for about, it says 5 seconds, that means it has enough charge. Otherwise, it will start blinking. And it opens like this. It's a squarish case, slightly on the bigger side, but I like the fact that we have a USB Type-C port on this one, and it can charge fairly quickly within an hour or so. We have some slight Mi branding on the back. I don't like it. It should have been like nothing, but we have that. But again, it's not on a very dark font. And again, the bud sticks come out very easily like this. And again, if you notice, the width of the sticks is a little bit on the wider side, but the finish is a little bit different. This is sort of a matte finish, whereas this is glossy finish. And if you notice here also, these are actually sensors. So when you're wearing it, and let's say if you're playing a music or something, if you take out any of the buds, it'll just pause the music, or even if you're playing back a video, it actually pauses because of the sensor, and if you put it back, automatically it actually resumes. Another functionality that I found is that many of these TWS, even AirPods, have the tap functionality. Here, a single tap strangely does not do anything, but if you double tap, then it uses the pause function, and again, if you double tap, it resumes. For taking the calls also, you have to double tap. The left one is for Google Assistant and stuff. But one thing is annoying, that you cannot reassign what you want, and also you can't skip the tracks or even control the volume. So that is regarding this one. So in terms of functionality, very similar to AirPods. And now let's talk about some of the good things that I noticed. Initially, if you look at it, the stems are actually very wide, and that is something that I noticed because I also have the AirPods, and I thought these will be super uncomfortable or something like that. But strangely, in terms of comfort, they're very comfortable to my ears, and I'm used to AirPods, and I would say they were even more comfortable to me than the AirPods for extended period of time. Also, they're very light, so though they look bulky, they don't have a weight towards it. And again, if you're used to AirPods or something like that, you'll be home to it. Now, another thing that I liked on this one is that this one has the USB Type-C port, so again, it's a modern one, so I like that. And now, if you talk about battery life, most of these TWS generally have a battery life of about 4-ish hours, and Xiaomi also claims about 4-ish hours of battery life per charge. I couldn't test it continuously, but I did watch some movies and then some music, and approximately after about 3.5 hours also I would say that I was using it, it still had a little bit of charge. So yes, the claim of about 4 hours, it should be good enough. The this one also has a built-in battery, so you can actually put this back, and this is how you actually charge it, and it charges. So you can expect another 2 full charges in the box. Xiaomi claims about 12 hours. So in terms of battery life, I would say it's not outstanding for a TWS, but again, it's the average ballpark that you would expect. Now another good thing that I liked about this one is that this one actually has multiple microphones. Here also we have a microphone, the bottom also we have a microphone, same case even for this one. So when I was taking a lot of calls with this one, the call clarity was actually good. Some of you have asked me about it, and I did take a lot of calls, multiple calls. In fact, I also connected it to my MacBook Pro. These days we are doing online conferences via Zoom, and it was almost a 1.5 hour conference, and again the other parties did not complain anything about the sound quality on the microphone. So the microphone quality is good. It does not have active noise cancellation, but it does when you're taking calls. This happens only when you're taking calls. It uses this top microphone to make it a little bit clearer. But overall, I would say in terms of, I took a lot of calls, the other parties did not complain, and also the reception of the call quality was good. Now that brings me to the point of Bluetooth range. Here also I was impressed with this one, because as I told you, I took a lot of calls. My phone was in this room only, and even when I was walking around in the balcony, that's almost about next room, this did not disconnect even once. So in terms of Bluetooth range, the Bluetooth range was actually good on this one. So I'm satisfied with these things. Now let's talk about the sound quality, which I feel is the most important part for me in a earphone. You buy earphones for listening to music. If you just wanted a headset or something, you can get a lot cheaper options, in my frank opinion. And here I would say I was pleasantly surprised. Let's talk with the bass. Xiaomi claims that it's even in the box that these have actually big drivers for TWS. In fact, 14.2 mm drivers, which is actually fairly big, because I've seen even premium earphones from a lot reputable company that goes for 15,000 having a 6 mm or 8 mm driver. So certainly 14 mm driver, 14.2 mm drivers are on the bigger side, and I feel due to that the bass response is enhanced. In fact, I like the bass response. Like most Indians, generally we like enhanced bass, and that's what I got with this one. And I like the fact that the bass is not overly done. When you overly do the bass, it creeps into the mid tones and make it boomy or something. That was not the case. The bass was there, and the bass was punchy. So in fact, in terms of bass, I was pleasantly surprised, because if I recall earlier, I had reviewed the Realme earbuds. There with the bass, I was disappointed, but here with the bass, I like the bass, and that gave a lot of definition. Also in terms of Soundstage, the Soundstage was good. The music separation was very good. In fact, my daughter was also here, and she picked it up. She initially said this looks very goofy, but after she listened to it for about 5-10 minutes, she also said that this sounds very good, and she's used to Bose QC35s. So that shows in terms of sound quality, that was a pleasant surprise for me. The bass was very well done. It's not total bass head types that becomes very boomy, but I would say I was impressed with what they have done with the bass. It's not done too much or too less, the perfect balance that we would like. Now coming to mid-tones, here also the mid-tones were produced very clearly on this one. I would say it was slightly more enhanced, not enhanced, I would say it gives a slight more preference to the mid-tone. So the vocals sounded very good, and in a lot of Indian music we have a lot of vocals, so they were very well done. And also I feel the high tones were produced very well. This was a problem with many of the earlier Mi earphones I had reviewed and tested. The high tones were always lacking, but on this one it's in fact very well done. In fact, I would say slightly overdone, so slightly on the sharper side. But overall I would say in terms of sound quality, that is one thing that I really liked on this one. And if I have to give a rating just based on the sound quality, I would give it a very high rating of 9 out of 10, considering the price point of this device. Now let's talk about some of the cons. And if I have to sum up the sound quality, I would sum it up as rich, punchy sound. Now let's talk about the cons. And again, some very unique cons that I've noticed. One thing is that, again, as I've told you, these days we have Bluetooth, we have multiple devices, and I tested this one mostly with the OnePlus 8 because that's the smartphone that I'm testing right now. But I also connected it to the my MacBook because I was taking some Zoom calls and stuff, and one more phone I connected for testing. And the thing is that this earphone simply does not remember the previous device that you have paid with. So again, you have to go again and repair it. This is very painful because many of the earphones these days do remember at least one more device. So it's very easy to repair back when you open that up. But that was not the case with this one. For this one, when I moved back from my MacBook Pro to the the OnePlus 8, I had to actually repair this. And here I found a problem also with this one. When I repaired it once, the sound was just started coming only from the one bud. And I thought, what the hell is happening? This has never happened to me with any TWS. So I thought it was kaput or something is really bad. But I decided to just delete that profile again and reconnect, and it fixed. So it worked, but as I've told you, if you constantly change devices between one to another, then I would not recommend you this one because you have to go with that repairing process, and sometimes with that repairing process, only one earbud bugs. Again, you have to delete it, again repair. Now it's working perfectly once I've repaired it. But that is the biggest con that I have with this device. Now moving to another thing is that this is a good thing, it's not in cons. This one uses LHDC codec. And this is supposed to reduce latency, but the thing is that this LHDC codec is not found on a lot of smartphones, only newer, higher end smartphones. So that is something you have to note. But nevertheless, as I've told you, I used it quite a bit for the last almost 3 days with the OnePlus 8. And here, that thing I liked, this is not a con, this is a pro, I liked is that when I was watching videos, a lot of videos on YouTube as well as Netflix, sometimes you get that lip syncing issue with Bluetooth headset. This has happened even with some of the higher end headsets that I've used. For example, the Galaxy Buds Plus, I had that issue. Even with some of the Bose, I have that issue. That was not the case. I didn't have any lip syncing issue with this one. So the latency that is there, the Bluetooth latency that we call, is almost not there. It might be just because the OnePlus uses Bluetooth 5 and this one also supports Bluetooth 5, but that is actually a nice thing that I have noticed. The latency is almost not there in video. So if you watch a lot of videos and stuff and you are always annoyed with your Bluetooth headset that you get that lip sync issue, that was not the case. That was a pleasant surprise. Frankly speaking, I didn't do heavy gaming, so don't ask me about that because I just played casually Call of Duty and felt fine, but I'm not a hardcore PUBG gamer or something like that. Continuing to the cons about it, in terms of looks, as I've told you, the sticks look a little bit on the goofy side, as you can see over here. I don't know why they are so thick, the stick. My daughter also said that though it sounded good, it looks a little bit goofy. And I also do not like one more thing, that is the pricing of this one. When Xiaomi initially launched it, it was for 4,000, but now it's at 4,500 rupees. So certainly Xiaomi knows that these sound good, so they are charging a slight premium, and definitely you're paying that premium for the sound quality, because I would say its nearest competitor, that was the Realme Buds Air, if I recall, was for 4,000 rupees. Though significantly, cheaper, but I would say if you love music, then in terms of sound quality, I felt this one was better than the Realme Buds Air. So overall, if I have to rate it, in terms of sound quality, as I've told you, I'm rating it as high as 9.10. But because of some of the other issues that I have noticed with this one, for example, that pairing, and it doesn't remember the previous device, and sometimes you have to delete that profile and reconnect, I'm going to cut down some points, and that would be 7.10. So overall, I would say, overall rating, I would give it 8.5 out of 10. Again, guys, that's it for now for this review. And again, I'll leave also the playlist of other headphones, earphones, etc. That I have reviewed earlier. So again, do check them out. And if you guys are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you with my next video. Take care, guys.